morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to GAN, Global Atheist News, our weekly review of how religion impacts humanity. This week's headlines. 5 people were killed in an Al-Shabaab-claimed bombing in the Somalia capital. A French police officer survived a knife attack in Cannes. The Liverpool bomb taxi driver saw a red light on the bomber's vest, says witness. The Taliban unveil new rules banning women from TV dramas. Escaping Afghanistan, the Operation Soccer Rescue. Again in Afghanistan, a report on 100 days of Taliban rule. Finland puts Christians on trial for their faith. The Shincheonji Church of Jesus cult in the UK. The Maltese are in the top 5 most religious in Europe. The Church of England reacts to claims that it's linked to refugees tricking the asylum system. Jersey approves the principle of legalizing assisted dying. A Texas pastor apologized after a video taken at his church showed people chanting, "Let's go, Brandon." Former Trump National Security Chief Michael Flynn calls for only one religion in the USA. Religious groups say implementing Biden's vaccine mandate would be a sin against God's holy word. End Times preacher Sharon Gilbert says that an alien imitated her husband and tried to have sex with her. Well, there's a lot of news this week, and as usual, we start with Nuria's report on the Islamic affairs. Over to you, Nuria.
Hi, I'm Nuria Khan with the Global Atheist News Islamic Affairs Report. 5 people were killed and over a dozen injured in a bombing near a school in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu. On Thursday, a security official said, in the latest attack claimed by Al-Shabaab jihadists in the troubled country. There was a car bomb blast. The death of 5 people was confirmed and 15 others were wounded, security official Mohammed Abdullahi said, adding that 11 students were among the injured victims. We don't know the target of the attack, he said, but the witnesses said a large convoy carrying troops from AMISOM, the African Union force fighting the militants, was passing through the area when the bomb went off. A police officer was attacked in the southern French city of Cannes by a man with a knife claiming to act in the name of the Prophet on Monday, but fortunately he was unharmed, according to the Interior Minister and police sources. The police officer emerged from the attack unscathed, saved from serious injury or worse by his bulletproof vest, Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin said. See this video.
Police officers in the southern French city of Cannes are unharmed after a man attacked them with a knife Monday morning. The group of 4 was sitting in a parked vehicle when the assailant knocked on one of the windows and pretended he wanted to ask for information.
The assailant began attacking the officers, one officer in particular, who was seated in the back of the vehicle. He was stabbed in the chest and in the back, but he wasn't harmed, thanks to his bulletproof vest.
According to local media quoting a police source, the man claimed he was acting in the name of the Prophet. Following the attack, France's interior minister made his way to the city of Cannes to show his support to police. He also told reporters the man is believed to be an Algerian citizen who has been in Europe on an Italian residence permit for more than a decade. The 37-year-old has no criminal record and was not on a watch list. The man who was shot by one of the officers in the vehicle was taken to hospital and is believed to be in critical condition.
The cabbie who survived the Liverpool hospital blast only realized it was a bomb when he spotted a red light on the attacker's vest, security guard Darren Knowles said. He ran to help David Perry, who escaped his taxi seconds before it burst into flames outside Liverpool Women's Hospital on 14th November. Iraq-born asylum seeker Al-Shabaab-claimed, who was a passenger in the taxi, died when a homemade device exploded shortly before the 2 minutes Remembrance Sunday silence. Police have previously said that the bomb had ball bearings attached to it, which could have caused significant injury or death. Mr. Perry was taken to hospital but has since been discharged. Mr. Knowles was standing only meters away from the taxi when the bomb exploded. He told BBC Northwest Tonight that he did not realise it was a bomb initially because there wasn't a very loud bang, and he just saw black smoke. I just thought it was a malfunction with the car and just ran over to see if he was all right, Mr. Knowles from Runcorn in Cheshire added. Mr. Perry said, been blown up, there's a bomb in my car. The taxi driver saw a little red light on the vest the passenger was wearing that gave it away for him to do something, and he acted very quickly and very bravely. See this video.
There's a bomb in my car, so obviously at that point my first instincts were to get him away to safety, because he said there was still a person in the taxi. He seen like a little red light on a vest that the passenger was wearing, so that gave it away for him to sort of like do something, and he acted very quickly and very bravely. I was grabbing the taxi driver, stopping him, going back to his taxi and everything, and obviously, you know, I just gave him a big hug basically just to stop him going further into danger. I'm still having, obviously, the odd flashback and everything, but I'm coping. I'm keeping myself busy with work and family and everything. So, you know, I try not to dwell on it much. But, you know, I'm just glad the taxi driver's okay. And
women have been banned from appearing in television dramas in Afghanistan under new rules imposed by the Taliban government. Female journalists and presenters have also been ordered to wear headscarves on screen, although the guidelines do not say which type of covering to use. Reporters say some of the rules are vague and subject to interpretation. The Taliban seized power in Afghanistan in mid-August, and many fear they are gradually imposing harsh restrictions. The latest set of Taliban guidelines, which have been issued to Afghan television channels, features 8 new rules. They include the banning of films considered against the principles of Sharia, or Islamic law, and Afghan values, while footage of men exposing intimate parts of their body is prohibited. Comedy and entertainment shows that insult religion or may be considered offensive to Afghanistan are also forbidden. The Taliban have insisted that foreign films promoting foreign cultural values should not be broadcast. However, there are locations in Afghanistan where girls are managing to get to school. See this video.
I'm sitting here in a physics class like no other I've ever seen. The girls here are mostly 16, 17 years old. They're precisely the kind of age that we assumed from the outside that the Taliban wouldn't allow to come to school at all. It turns out that the situation is much more complicated than that.
ما کستیم 2 هفتهش تا که شروع کردیم درس را دیگه پیش از این تنها دوره های پایین بود صنف ابتداییه بعد از 2 هفته درس را شروع کردیم دیگه شاگردان قدر زیاد نمیه کم میه به خاطر که تانوز طالبان در رسمیت شناخته نشده دولت طالبان همه موضوع مشتاقانه مثل قبلی ها
اولا میترسیدم ولی حالا نمیترسم چون که هنوز کسی کار نداره و من خاطر ما آزادانه میتونیم هر طرف بگشتیم و یا بیایم به درسای خود ادامه بدیم. فقط بعض جاها دخترها را اذیت کردن یا مردم را اذیت کردن و یکم ترس داریم ولی بازم ما ناامید نمیشیم بیایم به درسای خود ادامه بدیم.
You're not getting paid for coming here. Why do you keep on coming in day after day to teach these children?
شاید زیاد روان زیاد تاثیر کنه و همزی خاطر همونیم که یکم دزیام روحیه پیدا کنه و روحیه بدیم که کوشش کنه یا تلاش کنه در رقم نشیم دست به دست هم داده کوشش کنیم زحمت بکشیم کمی کشوری ما در رسمیت شناخته شنه و کشوری
It's all really kind of the reverse of what we assume from the outside. The Taliban are keeping silent And it's mostly the girls' families that say to them, no, we think it's too dangerous for you to go to school.
So what exactly is going on in Afghanistan? BBC reporter Yalda Hakim visited Kabul to look at 4 key areas of concern after 100 days of Taliban rule. Here's her video.
The Taliban took over a country that was very much reliant on international aid. When the taps were turned off, the economy virtually collapsed.
Security is one of the biggest concerns for the community here. It was just 6 months ago that a major attack was launched on the Sahid Al-Shahada school, a girls' school, and the Islamic State Khorasan, or ISK, claimed responsibility. Almost 100 girls lost their lives. One of the bombs went off just behind me, another over there, and then a third went off over there. It was designed to kill as many girls as possible.
That attack happened under the old regime, but ISK has continued to target Afghanistan's Shia community. Mohammed Amir Alimzadeh's 2 daughters were caught up in that attack. He thought he had lost them. The Taliban have promised security for all Afghans, but many here say they still don't feel safe. As we try and interview the head teacher, the boys make it very clear they're allowed back. But across this country, most teenage girls are not.
Since the Taliban took over, they've been told to wait at home until there's a nationwide policy. Millions of girls across this country are waiting to hear from them.
Even before the Taliban came to power, there was a humanitarian crisis in this country. Drought, aid cuts, and the economic collapse have turned crisis into catastrophe.
We've just come to the Indira Gandhi Children's Hospital, where there are many cases of children suffering from acute malnutrition.
Marwa is nearly a year old. Gulnara is 3, so weak she can barely open her eyes.
This is the ward where some of the most severely malnourished children are being looked after.
It's not just patients suffering. Healthcare staff haven't been paid for months.
Every single person I'm speaking to has the same story. They can't pay for their ticket to come here. They can't pay for their food here. And she was just saying that someday they may have to admit her here as a malnutrition patient herself because she doesn't know where she's going to get her next meal from.
And now, back to you, John.
Thank you, Nuria. Pastor Pohjola has spent his life building a network of faithful churches across Finland. And now he is the man who appears to be the first in the post-Soviet Union West to be brought up on criminal charges for preaching the Christian message. Also charged in the case that goes to trial on January the 24th is Pohjola's fellow Lutheran and a Finnish member of parliament, Päivi Räsänen. Räsänen's alleged crimes, in a country that claims to guarantee freedom of speech and religion, include tweeting a picture of a Bible verse. Potential penalties, if they are convicted, include fines and up to 2 years in prison. Räsänen and Pohjola are being charged with hate speech for writing and publishing a 24-page booklet that explains Christian theology about sex and marriage, which reserves sex exclusively for within marriage, which can only consist of one man and one woman for life. The Finnish prosecutor claims the centuries-old Christian teachings about sex incite hatred and violate legal preferences for government-privileged identity groups. In advance of the trial, Räsänen and Pohjola have been interrogated by police for hours about their theology. Pohjola told me in an interrogation that police treated their Christian beliefs as thought crimes. In a statement, Räsänen noted that the police publicly admitted their interpretation of Finland's law would make publishing the Bible a hate crime. Although all European countries have these hate speech laws, and these hate speech laws are increasingly being used against citizens for things that they say, this is the first time we've really seen Christians face criminal prosecution for explaining their biblical views, human rights lawyer Paul Coleman said. It's unprecedented. We've not seen attacks on free speech at this level in Europe, and that's why they are extremely important cases, not just for the people of Finland and Paavi Räsänen and the bishop themselves, but for all of Europe. If this is upheld in one jurisdiction, we will no doubt see it in the other jurisdictions as well. See this video.
I believe that God has created all people equal, and that's why the human value is absolute. It is the same in each person. I think that this is a very important starting point in politics. I am married to my husband, who is a pastor of the Finnish Lutheran Church, and he's also a principal of Bible College. And we have 5 children, also 6 lovely grandchildren from the ages of 3 months to 7 years. I'm suspected of 2 crimes just now. And the first one was a Twitter case that was at that time aimed and directed to the leadership of my church. And the other case is a pamphlet that I wrote 16 years ago. It was published year 2004. And it is a booklet about sexual ethics, about marriage between man and woman. And it is also connected with Bible teaching.
This is a case that is about our freedom to express our faith, our convictions, our freedom to voice opinions in the public square without fear of censorship, and certainly without fear of police investigation.
This kind of police investigation tends to have a chilling effect in our society, so that some people are afraid to use their freedoms to teach what Bible says or practice their faith. I want to defend also the rights of other people to express their faith and also to use the freedom of speech.
International law, as well as Finland's own constitution, robustly protects freedom of religion and freedom of expression. This case is so important, not just the case itself and for Paavi Räsänen, but for the whole of Finland and in fact the whole of Europe, because everyone's watching on, looking at this case and thinking, if someone can be investigated by the police for tweeting a picture, some Bible verses, and a pamphlet that was written 15 years ago, then really, are any of us safe? Is any of our speech safe? In a truly free society, ideas should be fought with other ideas, not with the threat of criminal sanctions or criminal penalties.
There are believed to be as many as 2,000 suspected cults currently operating in the UK, and many of them recruit students. Jess, a former physiotherapy student, was recruited into the Shincheonji Church of Jesus on the campus of the University of Salford. Jess says she didn't recognize herself when she was with them. A spokesperson for Shincheonji says they are not a cult and they deny controlling or manipulating members. The University of Salford says its campus is open to the public, which can cause challenges with external organizations. See this video.
Absolute mind control. I'd gone through the massive loss of suddenly losing my dad. And at that point, I was already so vulnerable. They asked me, "Oh, are you a Christian?" And from then on, we began to meet every week for just one-to-one Bible sessions. That's the biggest deception and the biggest manipulation.
The group is of concern to people in the way that it operates. I'm not saying that everyone is affected in the same way, but there's a number of instances of people losing contact with their loved ones, of giving up their jobs and their livelihoods.
To know if someone is fully engaging or not engaging, and always finding a way to draw them in a lot more. It's sort of just surveillance, really. I became a completely different person. My mindset was completely different. I'd lost motivation in terms of my studies. All of my concentration was just on the activities of Shincheonji. Controlling others, for me, is just really out of character. So that's how far in I'd gotten into being brainwashed.
You were sort of missing quite a lot of sessions and not interacting. And when I was asking your friends about where you were, they were saying that they weren't seeing you either. It just felt wrong.
Well, globally, one of the countries struggling to deal with the outbreak is South Korea. The leader of a religious sect there is under investigation for failing to cooperate with efforts to contain coronavirus. Authorities say members of the fringe Christian group, the Shincheonji Church of Jesus, infected one another in the southern city of Daegu last month.
That's the first time I'd ever seen Shincheonji being labelled as a cult. And for a moment, I just thought, whoa, wait a second. Am I in a cult? Because we were encouraged to not Google anything about Shincheonji, which is something that we all followed. But from doing my own research about the organisation, I was really, really shocked. Even from leaving Manchester early that morning, there was still that feeling of fear and paranoia that someone was watching me. I feel like I'm definitely in a much better place, and I'm able to confidently share my story with others and just raising awareness.
The Maltese rank 5th in the EU in attributing importance to religion in their lives, and are the 7th most likely in the EU to define themselves on the basis of nationality. A Eurobarometer held in all member states asked respondents how important religion is for them on a scale of 0 to 10, amongst other questions related to identity. Religion was said to be important for 58% of the Maltese, compared to 36% of all EU respondents. On the other hand, religion was not important for 20% of the Maltese, compared with 36% of all Europeans. Ranking 5th among all EU states in attributing importance to religion in their lives, Malta was surpassed by the majority Orthodox Christianity countries, namely Cyprus, 80%, Romania, 73%, Greece, 72%, and Bulgaria, 60%. The Maltese ranked just before the Poles at 54% and the Croatians at 53%, two other countries with a strong and influential Catholic Church. In Ireland, another country with a historically strong Catholic Church, but which experienced radical change in civil liberties like Malta, only 36% give importance to religion, while 43% say it is not important in their life. People in Sweden, Luxembourg and Denmark were the least religious in Europe. In a stunningly blatant rejection of the basic founding principles of the USA, former Trump National Security Advisor and Lieutenant General Mike Flynn told a Reawaken America conference in San Antonio, if we're going to have one nation under God, which we must, we have to have one religion, adding, that means one nation under God and one religion under God. At the same meeting, congregants chanted, "Let's go, Brandon," and the video went viral. This video shows hundreds of people clapping and chanting, "Let's go, Brandon," as someone from the stage leads them in the chant. The phrase has been used by conservatives as a coded way of cursing at President Joe Biden. Following the event, Cornerstone Church's pastor Matt Haji issued a statement apologizing and distancing the church from the event hosts. Watch the video. Two religious organizations based in Texas and Mississippi say merely implementing the Biden administration's vaccine mandate would be a sin against God's holy word and would put their employees in a position to potentially sin as well. Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, Utah, and several businesses have also sued the Department of Labor and Occupational Safety and Health Administration. The Biden administration's workplace vaccine mandate does allow employees to apply for religious or medical exemption. End Times preacher Sharon Gilbert says that an alien imitated her husband and then tried to have sex with her, and then it claimed to be Xerxes, and then Jesus got involved, and then the alien turned out to be a reptile with a posse of gargoyles. See this video.
After Derek and I got married, one night, this other Derek appears in our bed. The real Derek is lying down next to me. Other Derek sits right up out of it. It startled me. I knew that was not Derek. And so I asked this critter, "Who are you?" Because he clearly wanted to have sexual relations. And he said, "Come on, I'm your husband." I said, "Who are you?" And he had the nerve to claim to be Ahasuerus, Xerxes. Well, other Derek seriously wanted to invite me to use my free will to do something that was going to pull me away from God. So this last time, I knew he was really desperate. And I asked him again, "Who are you?" He told me the same answer. And I said, "I'm not going with you." This was an internal dialogue. Finally, I said, "I've had enough." In my mind, I reached up. I grabbed his face. And I said, "You are a liar. And Jesus is real." And I pulled that face off. And beneath it was a reptile. And he had little creatures with him this time. He brought these little halfling creatures, and they looked like, I don't know, gargoyles. They were very reptilian as well. So beneath that face of Derek was a reptilian serpentine creature, probably similar to what was visiting the Anasazi.
Wow. Well, the Bible says.
Free Thought Hour, my live Q&A show with this week's guest, Janice Selby, will be starting in a few minutes, so please stay tuned to this channel. Janice has journeyed from none, that's N-U-N, to none, that's N-O-N-E. Come and join in. The GAN team will be back with our weekly news review at the same time next week. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, set the notifications, etc. This has been Global Atheist News. Thank you for watching.